For some reason, it's shocking to people when NFL players read books, but I'm not shocked at all, especially when I saw which book AJ Brown was reading on the sidelines of one of his recent playoff games. And I won't keep you waiting as to the actual book. It was Inner Excellence by Jim Murphy, a book that I read a long time ago and really loved. And it's funny, in a review that I wrote years ago for that book, I said, I have no idea how I stumbled on this book, but here's one that deserves to be much, much more widely known. It changed my life. That's all there is to it. I remember it being one of the first books to really get me fired up about reading, more so than I ever had been before, and I credit this book for helping me develop my mental toughness and drive. And that was in 2014, so it's not like this book just came out or anything. It's been around for a long, long time. It was something like 540,000th on Amazon until AJ Brown, the wide receiver, was seen sitting on the bench reading this book. It's all highlighted and underlined and worn out. Like he's obviously read and absorbed this book. I'd imagine it had just the same kind of impact on him as it had on me. And I just thought it was a tremendously helpful book, and nobody had ever heard of it until randomly they put the camera on him and he's reading this book. And what happened next was just insane. Like sales shot up like some stupid number like 500 million% or something like that. It went from hundreds of thousands of books behind on the Amazon lists to number one overnight. And a lot of the reviews on Amazon right now directly credit AJ Brown for inspiring them to pick up the book, which I have a little bit more to say about later. But I just want to play you a clip of what AJ Brown himself had to say about it.
Why do you read during the games, and what does it bring to you?
Man, it gives me a sense of peace. That's a book that I bring every single game. And, my teammates call it a recipe. That's the first time I heard that y'all got me on camera.
Yeah.
But it's not the first game. It got a lot of points in there. It's a lot of mental game, a lot of mental parts about it. And, but for me, this game is mental.
I also take notes on every book that I read. So I've had notes on this book for 10 years, right? And I'm going to share some of the best ones at the end of the video to really give you an idea of what AJ Brown was filling his mind with and what specifically might have changed him, like what might have inspired him to mark up this book and just highlight passage after passage. It obviously means a lot to him, and it meant a lot to me too at the time when I read it. And I thought it was tremendous. So I'm going to share a couple of my favorite quotes from the book. And then I just want to talk briefly about what was so astoundingly important about AJ Brown being seen with this book and what he was able to do for reading. Here are some of my favorite quotes from the book. The enemy is our self-concept, which was based on past performances and our beliefs about what we can and cannot do. The greatest freedom you have is where to place your thoughts. And then this one's cool too. He says, I compete to raise the level of excellence in my life, to learn and grow in order to raise it in others. Then one more final quote, and there's so much more to this book, but it's just a little bit of a longer one, so I want to kind of wrap this up a little bit, but it's excellent. And he says, I've learned that what we really want, beyond our tangible goals and pursuits, is to feel totally alive. We crave great experiences and meaningful relationships, and we long to reach our full potential. We want to be challenged and creative. We want to grow. We want freedom to live with passion and pursue our dreams, regardless of what people think, how much money we make, or what level of status we acquire. Ultimately, we want the best possible life, absolute fullness of life. I've read that same sentiment, over and over in a lot of the great books. And yes, like some people have put it in more profound ways. I'm thinking of The Outsider by Colin Wilson. That's a fantastic philosophy book, very underrated. And I mean, it's all about that. Zorba the Greek, if you're into fiction, that is just all about just the affirmation of the awesomeness of being alive, right? And like the whole book is about that. And with inner excellence, that's not the whole book, but it's a major part of it. And it's just about doing your best regardless of external circumstances and returning like inward to your own resources. I will admit that I did not know know who AJ Brown was when I first saw this. But when I saw there's this football player who was, getting all these headlines for reading a book, I thought that was super cool and important for a lot of reasons, not least for the inspirational factor or the aspirational factor, right? Because we do things, because they're, those kinds of behaviors and activities, things that people buy. We buy them because we want to be like, or we want to be more like the people we see buying those things or behaving in those ways. It's that pure influence, and especially from someone who, like a lot of people want to be like AJ Brown. And so I think it's so fantastic that he was reading this book because, I mean, honestly, like you go to the Amazon reviews now and it's all like, I bought this book because of AJ. And it's just like if more people are inspired to pick up a book because their favorite NFL player or their favorite football player, or I mean, like your soccer, whatever, or their favorite, hockey player, boxer, decides to pick up a book, I think that's just fantastic. You're setting that precedent. Like, we are a society of readers. And, if you want to get to the very top, if you want to, fill your mind with the very best ideas and compete at the highest levels, then you have to, absorb the ideas from the best books. You have to constantly be learning. And, if more people see, celebrities, athletes, all of these people that they want to aspire to be like, if they see these people reading books, I think that's just one of the best things to have happen. And now, like, I am an AJ Brown fan. Now that I know he's a reader, I think he's pretty damn cool. So I'm happy that books are such a massive part of his life, as they are mine. I mean, literally, this is what I do full time. Like, I read books all day. I talk about them on the internet. Reading and the best books changed everything for me. So I absolutely get where AJ is coming from, and that's kind of what I want to do too with my personal brand and the things that I'm, producing online. I'm not saying that everybody wants to be like me, but if there are people who look up to me, and I know there are because I get the messages all the time, if there are people that, are watching what I'm doing for kind of cues to what they might like to try, and, obviously they absolutely do, then, I want that to be my positive influence that I'm putting out there. Me recommending a book doesn't have the same power as AJ Brown recommending a book, which is kind of upsetting in a way. He doesn't even have a channel. He doesn't even talk about books. He can just like be seen reading a book and just instantly they fly off the shelves. Are you kidding me? But no, like seriously, I think that's fantastic, and that's what I want to do too. I just want to be like AJ. And side note, if you do want to do what I do, I help educational content creators make at least $5,000 per month online and go full time pursuing their creative passions. I do that inside my mastermind group. It's called The Competitive Advantage, and it's the first link in the video description. Now, if you want to read as many books as AJ and I do, there's a video that I want you to watch right now. It's this one that's up on the screen right now. And at the end of the video, you'll see like a thing you can click on. It'll take you to that video. It's 5 minutes long, but it's one of my best pieces of advice for reading at least 30 extra books this year and every year. And it's the simplest thing in the world. It takes 5 minutes for me to explain it in that video, and it could really help you a lot. So watch that video next. Thanks for watching this one. And always remember, bookmarks are for quitters.
I don't waste time, no, I make time. All these people wanna hate, fine, I'ma make mine. While you sitting there complaining, I'll be training. While you sitting there just waiting, I'm creating. Yeah, sometimes I think that I'm unstoppable.